Okay. I mean, I'll. Oh, okay.
For me, it says on the spotlight.
Yeah, but like once you switch over to the camera, then
The title card.
Yeah. Okay, so let me know when we're ready to start. I can start? Okay. Okay, welcome to the Chatham Township Committee meeting. This meeting is called to order at 7:30 p.m. on July 12th, 2022. Greg, is adequate notice of this meeting be given to the public?
yes, adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was given as required by the Open Public Meeting Act as follows. Notice was given to the Chatham Courier and the Morris County Daily Record on January 7th, 2022. Notice was posted on the bulletin board in the main hallway of the municipal building on January 7th, 2022. And notice was filed with the Township Clerk on January 7th, 2022.
And we get a roll call.
Mrs. Ewald,
Here.
Mrs. Fundaco,
Here.
Mr. Lewis,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton, and Mayor Felice.
Here.
We have quorum.
Okay, can we all rise for the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we're gonna go straight into the approval of the agenda.
I did want to
Okay.
pull out the resolution that we got today, the 2022-237 first student bus parking. I just had a couple of questions on that one.
Okay, also, okay, sounds good. And, all right, so can I get a motion to approve the agenda? And a second?
I'll second that.
Roll call?
All in favor?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, now let's go to, can we go straight to the resolutions, the first two resolutions?
Yes.
Okay, because they're just a little. Okay, so it'll be resolution 2022-220, appointing police sergeant. Can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're on the first resolution? Okay, if you need a second, I'll second. I can't hear.
Okay, yes, we are on resolution, 2022-220, appointing police sergeant.
Okay,
Mrs. Ewald,
yes.
Mrs. Fundaco, Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
and Mayor Felice.
Yes,
Motion passes.
and the next is resolution 2022-221, appointing township administrator. Is there a motion to
I just heard a motion from Stacy.
is there a second? Second. Okay, and a vote?
Mrs. Ewald,
Yes.
Mrs. Fundaco,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
and Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, so we're gonna go straight into our oath of office. Let's start with, Police Sergeant David Gallo. Do you wanna come up? Or I guess I'll go ahead and say a little bit about him first. Sergeant David Gallo joined the Chatham Township Police in October 2013. Prior to joining Chatham Township Police Department, Dave attended the University of Delaware and graduated with a degree in criminal justice and with a minor in legal studies. After graduation, he enrolled in the Passaic County Police Academy's alternate route program and successfully graduated in July 2013. Sergeant Gallo served in the Patrol Division from 2013 until his transfer to the Detective Bureau in April of 2017. During his time in the Detective Bureau, Dave was the department's juvenile detective, Megan's Law Liaison, domestic violence liaison, firearms background investigator, and was the department's financial crimes expert. In January of 2021, Dave was reassigned to the Patrol Division, where he served as his patrol squad officer in charge. Tonight, Dave is joined by his wife Lexi, his two daughters, Olivia and Chloe, and his mother and father, Mary Lou Gallo and Michael Gallo. Come up. Repeat after me. I, David Gallo, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people. I do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of police sergeant according to the best of my abilities. So help me God. Pictures. Here's.
She like that applause.
I know. You know.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
All right, I can't be there, but congratulations, Sergeant Gallo.
Okay.
Give it out. One or two.
Here, you can give this one. We have one more, swearing in this evening. It is my pleasure to announce this evening that the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham has selected Ziad Andrew Shihabi as our permanent township administrator. Ziad, also known as Z, will be bringing in his 15 years of government experience to our township. He was elected to public office in 2007 and served 3 terms as a member of the Springfield Township Committee. He served 2 terms as mayor of Springfield in 2010 and 2012 and deputy mayor in 2016. He led the creation of the Springfield Business Improvement District and also served on the Springfield Planning Board. He was appointed in 2016 to serve as the administrator of First Springfield, spearheading the downtown revitalization and negotiating several developer agreements for mixed-use projects. From 2018 through 2021, he was the administrator of the Borough of Red Bank and also served as the executive director of the Red Bank Redevelopment Agency. He has worked for the New Jersey legislature in District 21, where he was the legislative aide for the late Assemblyman Dr. Eric Munoz and Assemblywoman Nancy Munoz. Shihadi also held the role of Director of Operations for the Jersey City Employment and Training Program under former Governor James McGreevey. Shihadi enlisted in the military after 9/11 and served in the global war on terror in support of Operation Enduring Freedom from 2004 to 2005 and reached the rank of sergeant before receiving his commission in August 2008. He currently holds the rank of captain and will retire next month after 20 years of service. He was also a member of the New Jersey League of Municipalities Legislative Committee from 2012 to 2021 and was a frequent panelist speaker at the annual conference. He is also a member of the Regional Plan Association New Jersey Committee. For more than 15 years, he has volunteered with American Legion Jersey Boys State. Community Access Unlimited honored Z with the Humanitarian of the Year Award in 2016. In 2018, he was appointed to the State of New Jersey Commission on Veterans Benefits. Z was awarded his Bachelor's of Arts in Politics, French, and Linguistics from New York University. I just want to say a couple other words as well. We went through a very exhaustive process. We reviewed a ton of resumes of some very qualified people. And this was a unanimous decision. All 5 committee members are very excited about Z coming on board with us, as well as all of our department heads, who I will say every single one of them has been very excited about him joining us full time. So go ahead and move forward with the swearing or nothing.
And somebody can hold this.
I can hold it. You want to hold it?
Less in the spotlight, I am better.
Or I can hold it.
Yeah, hold it in.
I can hold it.
I'm holding it. I'm saying we have my hand on it.
Yeah, I'll hold it. It's okay. I got it. Okay, I, Ziad Shihadi,
I had
do solemnly swear
to solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United
the
States
Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New
of the
Jersey,
State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear
and that I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance to the
and
same
allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of Township Administrator,
Administrator,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my
Thank
ability.
you.
Congratulations.
All right, we could take a
Um,
short.
I sent you guys the press release about.
We're gonna take a short recess. All right, we are back. We're gonna move straight to the report. Okay, do you want to email? You want to start?
Yes, thank you. My apologies, I can't be there. I actually tested positive for COVID last week, so I technically finished my quarantine, but didn't think it'd be right. And seeing the baby on the video, I feel even better about my decision not to come to the committee meeting. But I did want to take a moment, I'm sorry I'm not there to help celebrate, take a moment to congratulate Sergeant Gallo, wish him well and thank him for his service. And welcome to Mr. Shahadi. We're looking forward to seeing all the great things that you're going to do for our township. It's quiet summer, so I don't have a very long list. The senior center, though, is as busy as ever. In June, they reintroduced Dinner with Friends program, which was very successful. They had 22 people meet at Sunny's Indian Restaurant in Chatham. Very well received. They'll be planning another dinner in the fall, so keep an eye out for that. Tech support is up and running. High school students will be there on Wednesday, July 20th at 1 p.m. So please don't hesitate to reach out to the senior center for that or any other of the activities that I mentioned. 2 support groups are starting this week, a grief support group on Tuesdays at 10 a.m. And a recent retire group on Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. Both are run by a licensed clinical social worker, and there is no cost to participants. Thursday, July 14th at 1 p.m. Victor Bruno, a Beatles scholar and 60s rock historian, will be talking about the Beatles from Liverpool to Abbey. So that should be pretty cool. Abbey Road, rather. All are welcome. And I had mentioned before, the Senior Center is participating in a free evidence-based online weight loss management program, and they still have spots available. And I've heard great things about it. So feel free to take advantage of that as well. And the Municipal Alliance Committee National Night, they will be at National Night Out, which is a Colony on Tuesday, August 2nd from 5 to 8. I think that's everything that I have for now.
Great. Maybe one more time,
First of all, I have a report from the Historical Society. This coming Sunday, July 17th at 2 p.m. The Historical Society will unveil its latest historic marker. It celebrates the Colony Pool and one of its most famous members, William Conrad. Everyone is welcome to come to the ceremony and hear about his adventure if he survives some rapids at Niagara Falls. It will be near the entrance to the pool. Earlier this year, a photographic survey was taken of the township's historic markers, and plans were being made to make sure they're in good condition when we receive any attention that we need. And then that's it for the Historical Society. With the DPW, they've been cleaning and inspecting basins, making basin repairs, filling potholes. They installed a Historical Society Colony Pool for this weekend's event. They seal coated walking paths on Thornley, Huron, Hall, and Winwood. They drag and strip baseball fields every day, weed and clean up on Buxton Corner, weekly grass cutting on township-owned properties, and they ran electrical or automatic transfer switch from town hall generator. They installed wall mount soap dispensers and lockable toilet paper dispensers at Shanghai bathrooms, made bleacher repairs at Nash Field, and made colony repairs, installed LED lights in the courtroom above the committee bathrooms. And now they are installing the outdoor lights at the Redford School. One last thing, I just want people to remember to support the Chatham United Methodist Food Pantry at 460 Main Street, across from CVS. They're always looking for donations. And that's my report.
Thank you. Committeeman Lois?
Great. Just to follow up on that report on the colony, the historical marker that's going outside of the colony, Bert and Fazia explained that to me with provide the whirlpool under an ice. And so that's pretty amazing. We actually crossed it from the US to Canada. And we are very happy to have that historical marker going up on Sunday. And I will certainly be there. For Colony Pool, we have session 3 programs, which are starting on Monday, so you can still sign up for swim lessons and tennis lessons for session 3. Our revenue is presently 15% over what we budgeted, so, and that's already, so that's wonderful. We're on track for a new fee this year. And we have more, but we're on pace for 1,700 members, and we're almost there currently. For finance, we're anticipating our mid-year review for the finance committee, and that should be happening in about 2 weeks. And for communication, the clerk and I worked on some audio upgrades in this room. And for recreation, in September, we have our next meeting, and as Celeste mentioned, the DPW is hard at work putting in place some of our resolutions, including things that are happening in the bathroom, the bleacher risers, and some other things. And then for utilities, we have a meeting coming up next week to talk about substation rebuild, and JCP&L is very gracious to accommodate us. It's coming to report and get some feedback.
Thank you. John, do you have a report?
Very quickly, a few items. Road paving, we are tentatively scheduled to start as soon as
John, you are Mike.
we are scheduled to start as soon as July 20th with the road milling and then followed with the paving. As we usually do, we'll get notices out to the individual residents. We'll post on the website. We contact all the various agencies for to make sure everyone is aware of it. So hopefully everything goes smooth. It's a smooth start so far. So let's keep it going. We did just report that the bids have been advertised for the municipal building roof and then also the administration building for the wastewater treatment plant. We're tentatively scheduled to receive those bids on August 4th. So we'll see how the bids come in. Nashville, as you know, I'm working on the design and permitting for the connector trail between Nashville and the Wanaka Reservation or the project is going smooth. We did have a little bump in the road. DEP proposed new emergency flood hazard regulations that would have impacted our modeling of the flood elevations in the area and how we designed that. These emergency regulations were supposed to be implemented in June, but there was a very outroar from development community and other professional organizations regarding what DEP was proposing with these regulations. So they're kind of on hold at the moment, and I'm kind of just waiting to see if in fact those regulations are going to go forward. But I obviously don't want to sign this twice because we want to make sure that if we submit the application now, the way the regulations were written is that unless you have an approved permit, you have to comply with the new regulations. And there's no way that just need to work on the timing. So we'll work on that, but I don't expect any major delays. And then lastly, just reporting the we did submit a RFP package for engineering inspection services for the Safe Routes to Schools Lafayette Spring Street project. We did receive grant funding for that. It's a federal procurement process that we have to follow. It follows a Brook law. And in fact, it's not based on price, it's based on a very specific process of rating the proposals as they come in. We actually identify what that rating process is. I just have to say, I'm not going to submit the RFP. I just feel, I feel more comfortable the fact that I wrote the RFP and the fact that I was involved in design, and I kind of have an advantage over other consultants, and being through a federal audit through the Federal Highway Authority, going over a grant program. They are very thorough. I just don't want to jeopardize the funding associated with that because of the time. So I will just continue to be on the sidelines, and I think that I serve the township in the best way, just making sure that we're following the grant procedures and making sure that everything is being done. Because there is always a threat that if you don't follow the grant obligations, that they can pull funding. They have done that before with other municipalities. Doesn't happen often, but we don't want to be in that situation. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you. Mr. King?
I have nothing to report.
Okay, Z.
I'm not even gonna try.
Okay, no, Mayor, nothing to report, but just do wanna, thank you and the other members of the township committee, for your continued faith and trust in me, and, I continue extending my gratitude that I have remarked on my interim appointment, and I, really look forward to serving the residents of Chatham, with great honor in this position.
Thank you, we're very excited to have you. Greg, do you have anything?
No report.
All right, so we're gonna go straight into the hearing of citizens. All right. Currently, the committee meeting room is open to the public, and we look forward to having you join us. Additionally, this meeting is being made available for public participation remotely. If you're watching cable TV on Comcast Channel 29 or Fios Channel 26, you can participate in the public comment session of this meeting by dialing the phone numbers which are listed on the agenda and which are shown on your TV screen. Please dial *9 to raise your hand. If you're watching via Zoom, you may speak during the public comment session by following the Zoom instructions to raise your hand. Whether in person or online, when you are recognized to speak, please say your name, spell your last name, and give your street number. As a reminder, all public comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Rather than to use any of your time answering questions, we will wait until you finish speaking before responding. Each member of the public will be limited to 1 comment during the public comment period. Written comments submitted to the township clerk before 3 p.m. today will be read during the public comment session. Written comments are subject to the same guidelines as oral comments. Duplicative written comments may be summarized rather than read in full according to guidelines issued by the New Jersey Division of Local Government Services.
No written.
Any written comments? No. All right, I do not see anybody in the public here.
Yep.
Anybody? Oh, okay, we have now opened the hearing of citizens to the public. Is there anybody online?
We do not have any hands raised.
All right, seeing nobody in person and nobody online, we are going to close the public hearing of citizens. And move on to the introduction of the ordinance, or no, it's the final adoption of ordinance. So can I get a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-09 third party police employment?
So moved.
Okay, is there any discussion? Oh, wait,
Public hearing first.
public hearing first, okay. I'm going to open the public comment section for this discussion of the ordinance third party police employment. All right, is there anybody online?
No hands raised.
All right, I'm closing the public comment section. And is there any discussion on this? All right, we are going to move to a vote.
Mrs. Ewald,
Yes.
Mrs. Fandanco,
Yeah.
Mr. Lois,
Yes.
and Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Now, can I get a motion to introduce ordinance 2022-10, number of plans required for submittal of land use applications? So,
I'll second it.
is there any discussion?
Just by way of background, I sent to the Township Committee the annual report from the Zoning Board of Adjustment. And this ordinance is based on their recommendations for the committee's consideration.
Okay.
And then before we have the public hearing, it'll go before the planning board, assuming introduction, it'll go before the planning board for a master plan consistency review.
Okay.
Yeah, my comment on this one is we moved it to 4 plans, I think it was last year, and everybody on the committee and on the planning board, I think it was, unanimously supported. Is it possible to just have this, if the 18 or 15 copies are needed for the zoning board, is it possible that they are the only ones that will require that? Or has the planning board come back and said, now that they're back in person, they also need? It just seems a shame, because it sounded like we were sitting on a lot of excess paper that wasn't necessarily necessary, and it's a shame to kill all those trees when we don't need them. But I get that the zoning board needs, feels they needed to do their work. Personally, if I'm in a meeting, I'd rather be on my computer looking at the images. It's juggling with those large plans, or Greg and I were talking about, Mr. LeCounte and I were talking about whether or not we could require a smaller version so it's more manageable and kills less trees, whether it's legal size or a more manageable size plan.
Have you spoken with, our zoning board chair or anything?
Was that question directed to?
Oh, to you.
Oh, me, sorry. Have I spoken to the zoning board chair? No.
Okay, I'm just because of the emails that I got, it was pretty much that's what they were requesting.
So, the planning board, as I mentioned, the planning board will have an opportunity to chime in on this, whether or not they really want the plans. I was speaking with the planning board chairman last night, and we were thinking that perhaps we could sort of administratively forego the planning board copies and do just the zoning board ones if necessary. And I don't want to see us necessarily violate our own ordinances, but as a practical matter, we can focus on it more for the zoning board, since they're the ones that request it. But if the planning board wants to, full-size copies that are actually to scale that you can actually read, on something bigger than a laptop screen,
So, yeah. Sorry.
My attitude was more, we're having a hard time getting volunteers to join our zoning board. That was kind of my issue. Like I've been, I think I announced last meeting, we're accepting volunteers. We're looking for active volunteers. And so the couple of volunteers that we have on it, it was like, if this makes them happy, I'm fine with it. But that was literally the thought process.
and to that end, we do have a couple spots open on the planning board as well,
Yeah.
if anyone's interested.
Yeah, I agree along those lines. So I guess if there's a way to write the ordinance that allows, I guess if this goes to the planning board, I'm just wondering how many generations of ordinance, if there's a way to draft it so to allow the flexibility if the zoning board has a certain requirement and then the planning board has a different one.
Do through the checklist.
Go through a checklist. And we can actually have some language in it that, to the applicant, if additional, copies are required, we can request them to provide more copies. So we can have a minimum, and then if we need more copies, if the board members change and more board members want paper copies, we can have that possible latitude in the ordinance. So more and more people are going with their computers, and they're doing everything on the computer. That's the direction we're going. But it is a lot of paper that is raised.
Yeah, I think it largely comes down to personal preference. I'm something of a
I think
dinosaur
it's
that I like
personal
the
preference.
paper, but some people like the iPad.
Great, but the problem is that on the computer, if you have a big plan here, with the big plan, you can't see the keys. Some people want that full plan so they can read all the notes and whatnot.
So my comments on this would be, it's a balance between, certainly providing what our volunteers are asking for, and I might just find that our board adjustment needs plans to scale at size, because what they're being asked is, can I encroach 1 foot closer to the house next to me? Can I get a foot closer to a steep slope? And that would require a 2-scale plan. And so a scaled version is not really going to work. But on the other hand, it is a little onerous, especially for some of the I would say more easily passed variances. It is very onerous on an applicant to produce 18 copies of something, or something as small as a side portico or something. It becomes very, very expensive and difficult for an applicant, even just to create the bags for 18 bags. Because it's not just a set of plans; it's a full application as well. So in many cases, you're talking about 50 to 100 pages of 8.5 by 11,
Right.
and also sets of plans. My question about this ordinance is, if we are doing a number of plans and what's required for submittal in the ordinance, have we gone to requiring vision? And are we doing that? Because that would seem to be, if we can handle this for volunteers, okay, but shouldn't we take that next step? And shouldn't this ordinance have something to say, you need to provide this on a thumb drive, or you need to provide us the digital copies.
It says that, in one copy in electronic format.
Okay.
It says application shall be made on forms available from the board. Planning board, 15 hard copies and 1 electronic format. So I would think we should probably change that, I mean, wording maybe to, like, upon request or.
But even electronic format, I mean, I know we're using FPL, so is that standardized electronic format? We didn't know.
General,
John, do you remember what we required? I think we did that by ordinance some years ago.
For the application itself, I don't think just PDF is what we need, but, you know, actually when an application, for certain applications, you do require them to provide an AutoCAD or a GIS file and specify that in the ordinance, and that was really set up to make a cost saving effort to when we maintain our tax maps, we can just get that information and update our tax maps very more easily. And so that's in the ordinance, but that's usually a condition of approval. That's not part of the checklist. Condition of approval.
I'm just thinking maybe we change the wording on that.
Is any wording changes you want to make can be certainly made now since it's.
It's still an intro level, right? I'm just thinking maybe we change the wording on it, to maybe be like at the request of the zoning board. I don't know.
whatever, yeah. Maybe they can set that as their annual reorg meeting, the number of copies for the year.
Okay,
They do this, they can do that with their checklist, so before it goes to the board and an application is approved, the zoning officer reviews, or you're the acting zoning officer, John?
Yeah,
So John will review all those documents. I would think for a residential, you're not a stickler, you just let them come in on their survey that they have with their title insurance and they draw it, and then you have a face sheet where you do the calculations and you report back to the zoning board, yes, these calculations are correct based upon the plan of the plot.
Yeah, we go through the normal process. You know, I try to balance, you know, to meet the expectation of.
And then if it's a bigger type of project where, you know, total new home or whatnot, then you ask for scale drawings, I would think, right?
Yeah, well, a lot of times the in some of the additions that are coming in are quite large, so a lot some of the improvements have been, so it really depends on the.
And any drainage, you would have cut sheets on that as well.
Yes, yeah, so we, you know, I think it is, you know, regarding the material that's being submitted, I don't think there's really an issue regarding the level of the complexity and that's all worked out. Yeah. The most professional that are representing the applicant. We don't usually get an applicant coming in just, you know, a homeowner's, you know, not being represented by either an architect or something, because somebody usually walk them through, but we do occasionally, if that does occur, we certainly, you know, help people get through the process, and that's more of a unique situation versus.
But if again, if it's sort of a commercial, then you would ask for the full drawings and everything.
Correct.
And at that point in time, you would probably ask for the number of copies for each member.
Our process for adjustment is different from other towns in that we ask them applicants to come and do an overview.
We do.
And there's a site. Yeah.
It's so very
But it's, we do that and we ask them to come and do an overview, then we ask to do a site visit. And then they come back and there's a meeting or a hearing, and then there might be a carry. So where other towns, in my understanding, could be a one meeting to complete something simply, we are generally 3 and so perhaps in the interim step, sometimes when there's a site visit and then initial, sometimes there's a site visit after that, the application is abandoned. I'm not sure what to say here exactly about.
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if
yeah.
maybe we should change the
That may be a discussion with the chairman and that process. A lot of times are, you know, one night you're in, you're out, and you know, the whole inspection is done independently before they have a formal inspection or a single court.
Right.
But you know, putting that aside, that's a separate discussion. But we are focusing on the amount of
Not a copy, I'm just wondering if you just change it to like up to 15 copies. At discretion of the zoning board.
Yeah, and then we can work it with the, and then when they actually, Callie, when they're, wherever's gonna be the person you can win, because people call, they talk to us first.
Right.
Application submitted, and we can tell them how many copies they need.
Right, like,
And I actually, the number 15, that comes from the assumption of the full planning board plus.
So that's a
the
max.
officials Plus, yeah.
so that's why I would say if we, change it to up to 15 hard copies at the discretion of the zoning board.
At the discretion of the land use board. So
The land use, right, or I should say the land use board. Is that allowed?
Yes.
Yes.
Do that. It's gonna be up to the discretion, the zoning officer.
Right.
a lot of times we encourage the first application to submit one copy so I can review it for.
Right,
So
and
not
all of a
submitting
sudden-
50, kind of,
It's,
that probably discourage people to,
Right.
submit multiple copies until they need complete.
And I'm a zoning board attorney, but we do a residential in about 15 minutes. They come in, it gets reviewed by the professionals, it comes before the board, usually it's the application. The plot, they want to sort of shed here, it's hand drawn in. Professionals go and verify, goes before the board and it's done. On a bigger application with the commercial, we get full set, site plans or, depending what it is. So I think you may want to address that with the zoning board, because I think you could probably streamline instead of 3 interactions with your residents, you could do it.
Our board of health operates similarly with septic plans where, it's gone before John's office for review, and it's not until John's office signs off on it that it goes to the board, and they spend maybe 15 minutes going over.
right.
It is a little different in the planning.
Right.
I represent a lot of towns, and every town has their own personality.
Right.
Some do more, I have to say, you go back like 50 plus years in Chatham, we had a licensed architect, a designer, and 3 or 4 attorneys on the board, and boy, we had so many discussions over the simplest application. So, it really is important stuff. And I think that the current chairman of the planning, the zoning board, we can certainly, you can talk about the current process, because it is a bit of a burden.
Right. So with this ordinance that's in front of us, should we just change it all to up to 15 at the discretion of the lady boards? Leave it as that across, for all the items and then introduce it?
If you want, you can, I can make the changes and we can revisit it at the next meeting. That way you can see the language.
Sounds good.
We can.
Stacey?
Do we need, so I remember last year or the year before, whenever it was knocked down to 4 copies. Do we need to say or want to say something like a minimum of 4? There, I don't know what the logic was behind those 4 copies, but do we want to say a minimum of 4 and up to 15 as depending on?
What happens to a minimum is that if everybody wants it, electronically, it's a win-win,
Yeah, because having one here on file here would be the minimum of 1. 4 probably assumes 1 for us and 3 for the board attorney, engineer, and planner.
But they all want it.
The fact that it has gonna have a language in it that says up to, that's gonna initiate the phone call. So,
Yeah.
Correct. And so that's what we want, because each application, and we'll know.
So should we pull this and we'll?
Yeah, I'll put it on the next agenda for consideration.
Okay.
Yeah, and like I say, before it was changed last year, it used to be 18. I have no idea why it was so many.
Wow.
That's where I think it rings the original problem with having way too many on file here,
Right.
taking up too much space. Having the 15 is still scaled back from what it used to be,
But
but
still, it's a lot.
yeah, but and then it's also one of those things, having the paper copies will help facilitate getting the zoning board to go back to meeting in person.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the consent agenda.
I would just like to add one thing to that, just that, Mr. McGowan, our chair there, is a real gentle person. We have a very good, board adjustment. We certainly, I deeply appreciate their service to this community, and especially the Board of Adjustment is a very difficult board to sit on, with a huge workload, and so any discussion here is on the benefit of residents and not in any way impugning anything that they're up to. Because, I have nothing but positive things to say about it.
I agree. All right, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt all the resolutions on the consent agenda except resolution 237?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. And a roll call vote?
Mrs. Ewell,
Yes.
Mrs. Madako,
Yeah.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
and Mayor Police.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2022-237, extending lease for first student bus parking?
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, discussion?
So the question I had was regarding the price. It said, parking lot, in section 1, it says, where did I find this? 5,000 a month, but somewhere in here, I thought there was language that said it was based on the prior lease. The prior lease was 10 weeks, based on the last resolution. I was looking at the last resolution, was 10 weeks, 15,000, which would be 1,500 a week. So that would be 6,000. So my question is, was that already agreed to, or is it supposed to be based on the prior rate? Because if it's based on the prior rate, then that would be 6,000, and I would say we need to amend this.
The last lease, it was a 90-day lease. So it was $5,000 a month, essentially. They moved the buses in and they've been there almost for 90 days. They're coming up, I think at the end of this week will be the 90th day. So then we're going to extend it for 30, and a third of the 15 is 5, so it's 5,000 a month.
So, okay, because when I looked at the resolution, it said from April 15th through June 30th, which was 10 weeks. So that's where I got the number from. But you're saying it was
It was 90 days.
3 full months. For some reason, the resolution was wrong.
Well, I think it was when we drafted that resolution, we had gone out to bid, and then I think it was a meeting. We had to wait for the second meeting, but they were there for 3 months.
It's through July 15th,
Yes.
which is the end of this week.
That's the other thing I wanted to confirm is, so it ended June 30th, so it's through the end of July, then this revision.
Yes, there was a delay in getting the lease signed and then moving. So it was always contemplated for 90 days. So we originally discussed this, I think, in March, April, and it took a number of weeks because we had to advertise the bid. Whenever you have public property, you just can't enter into a lease. We had to advertise it in the paper. That took 2 weeks, and then we had to draft the lease agreement and the resolution. That took about another week to 2 weeks.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other discussion, or can we go to a roll call vote?
Mrs. Ewell,
Yes.
Mrs. Madako,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
and Mayor Police.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we have no discussion tonight and no executive session, so we are going straight to adjourning. Is there a motion to adjourn? So moved. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. This was a nice quick meeting this evening. Have a
Thank
good
you.
rest of the summer. See you next month.